All right, get ready, because today we're diving deep into habits.
Those small actions that can really change your life.
You got it. And we're not just skimming the surface. We are going deep, exploring why some habits stick and some just don't. And most importantly, how you can create a life full of good habits.
It's amazing how much we do every day without even thinking, just out of habit.
Totally, like we're
Yeah.
on autopilot half the time. But
Yeah.
that's how habits work, right? They can either help us or hold us back. So today, we're giving you the tools to make those habits work for you.
Exactly. And to start, let's talk about something we've all experienced. Why is it so hard to make new habits stick?
Yeah, we've all been there. It's like New Year's Day or Monday morning, you're feeling super motivated and you think this time will be different. This time I'll stick to that workout, learn that language, finally read all those books. But then life happens.
That initial excitement goes away, other things become more important, and suddenly that new habit feels like a chore. And that's when those old habits come right back.
Ugh, it's the worst. But is it just a lack of willpower or is there something else going on?
Willpower is part of it, but it's not the whole story. A lot of times people try to change too much at once. They want to completely overhaul their lives overnight instead of taking small steps.
So instead of trying to run a marathon on the first day, you're saying it's more about just putting on your shoes and walking around the block.
Exactly. It's about changing your mindset. Instead of all or nothing, it's about being consistent. You need to build a foundation, step by step. Another mistake is relying only on motivation. Motivation is great for that initial push, but it comes and goes.
Oh, tell me about it. One day you're ready to take on the world. The next day, you're hitting snooze and reaching for the snacks.
Exactly. So instead of relying on feelings, we need to create systems that support the habit.
Okay, so how do we design those systems? Is there a magic formula for making habits stick?
There is. And it all starts with understanding how habits form in the brain. Have you heard of the habit loop?
I think so, but tell me more. I love learning about how our brains work.
Well, the habit loop has three parts: the cue, the routine, and the reward. A cue is something that triggers the habit. It could be a time of day, a place, or even a feeling.
So if I always want a cookie at 3 p.m., that feeling of being hungry plus seeing it's 3 o'clock, that's my cue.
Exactly. Then comes the routine, which is the habit itself. In your case, it's grabbing that cookie. And finally, the reward, which makes you want to do the habit again.
So the reward is the sweet taste that makes me happy, even if it's just for a little bit.
Exactly. And the more you repeat this loop, the stronger it becomes. It's like walking through a forest. The more you walk the same path, the clearer it gets.
So how can we use this to our advantage? How do we make our brains create good habits?
That's where James Clear's Atomic Habits comes in. He says to make the cue obvious and make the routine attractive.
Okay, let's break that down. What does making it obvious look like?
It's about making things easy and avoiding decisions. If you want to work out in the morning, lay out your clothes the night before. If you want to drink more water, keep a full water bottle on your desk.
So it's all about setting up our environment to help us, right? Like creating a world where the healthy choice is the easy choice.
Exactly. Then there's making it attractive. You can do this by pairing the habit with something you enjoy. Want to exercise more? Listen to your favorite podcast while you work out. Trying to eat healthier? Find a beautiful cookbook with fun new recipes.
It's like we're tricking our brains into wanting the good habit. By connecting it with something we already like, I love it.
It's all about using our brain's reward system to make good habits more appealing.
Now, I want you, our listener, to think about your own space. Is there one small change you could make to help build a new habit? Could you move things around, add a reminder, or create a special spot for that new activity? Take a minute to think about it. This is where we are. Your thinking tank comes in to help you reach your full potential.
It's all about being intentional with your surroundings and setting yourself up for success. You have the power to make your environment work for you and make those good habits almost impossible to resist. Welcome back to our deep dive on habits.
Glad you're still with us. Last time we talked about how habits work. The cue, the routine, the reward. We also explored how to set ourselves up for success.
Like making the cues obvious and the routines enjoyable.
Exactly. But let's be real. Things don't always go as planned. We get busy, we get stressed, and sometimes those bad habits just sneak back in.
So how do we stay on track when that happens?
That's a good question, and I think we all struggle with that.
One helpful technique is called implementation intentions. It's basically about planning for those obstacles before they even show up.
So it's like having a backup plan for when our willpower takes a break.
Exactly. You're taking the pressure off. Let's say your goal is to exercise 3 times a week, but Wednesday evenings are always crazy. With implementation intentions, you have a plan for that. You might say, if I can't go to the gym on Wednesday, I'll do yoga at home.
That makes it so much easier. Instead of feeling like you've failed, you have a plan B.
Right. And another great strategy is to create a supportive environment.
Oh yeah, our surroundings can really make a difference, can't they?
Totally. Think about it. If you're trying to eat healthy, but your pantry's full of junk food, you're setting yourself up for a struggle. Same thing if you want to read more, but your phone's always buzzing.
It's like trying to relax in the middle of a traffic jam.
Exactly. You need to be mindful of your environment. Create a space that aligns with your goals. Maybe declutter your home, get rid of distracting apps, or surround yourself with supportive people.
So it's about making the healthy choice the enjoyable choice, too.
Exactly. And speaking of support, having an accountability partner can be a game changer.
It's so much better to have someone to share the journey with, right?
It really is. An accountability partner can encourage you, keep you on track, and celebrate those wins with you. Plus, knowing someone's counting on you can really motivate you, especially on those days when you just want to quit.
It's like having your own personal cheerleader.
And don't forget about the power of community. Being around people with similar goals gives you a sense of belonging. It's inspiring and keeps you accountable.
It's like having a whole team cheering you on. But even with the best plans, we all slip up sometimes. We miss a workout, we eat that extra cookie, we hit snooze one too many times.
So how do we bounce back from those setbacks without giving up completely?
That's where self-compassion comes in, right? Instead of beating ourselves up, we need to be kind to ourselves.
Absolutely. Setbacks are normal. They're not failures. They're actually opportunities to learn and grow.
I love that perspective. So how do we turn those mistakes into something positive?
When you have a setback, take a moment to reflect. What caused it? What could you do differently next time? By looking at the situation, you can find patterns, adjust your approach, and prevent future setbacks.
So it's about using those mistakes as stepping stones.
Exactly. Building lasting habits is a journey, not a destination. There will be ups and downs. But with self-compassion and the right strategies, you can achieve amazing things.
You know, there's something that's really helped me with building habits. It's called focusing on identity-based habits instead of outcome-based habits.
I love that. Tell me more.
So instead of focusing only on the result, like losing weight or writing a book, you focus on the kind of person you want to become. For example, if you want to exercise regularly, instead of thinking about losing 10 pounds, you could think about being someone who prioritizes their health and well-being.
That's so powerful. It completely changes your mindset. You're not just checking things off a list, you're aligning your actions with your values.
Exactly. When our habits match our desired identity, they become a part of who we are, not just something we're trying to do.
And that makes it much easier to stay motivated because those habits become part of your self-image. It's not, I'm trying to eat healthy. It's, I am someone who nourishes their body.
I love that subtle shift in language. It's about matching our actions with our beliefs.
And that's where real change happens. It's not just about changing your habits. It's about becoming the best version of yourself.
We've covered a lot today, but before we wrap up, I want to remind you that we are here to support you. Your thinking tank is dedicated to giving you the tools you need to succeed.
Absolutely. You have the power to create a life full of positive habits. It's not about being perfect. It's about making progress. And with each small step, you're getting closer to the life you want.
Welcome back for the last part of our deep dive on habits.
We've talked about a lot, haven't we? The science, the strategies, even how to handle setbacks.
We have. But now it's time to make it real. Let's look at some inspiring examples and give you some bonus tips.
Okay, let's start with a story that shows the power of small, consistent actions. It's about a woman named Sarah who, like many of us, struggled with procrastination, especially when it came to writing.
Oh, I know that feeling. That blinking cursor can be so scary sometimes.
It can. Sarah always wanted to write a book, but it felt so overwhelming that she kept putting it off. She'd clean, organize, even alphabetize her spices, anything but write.
That's classic overwhelm, right? The goal seems so huge that we end up doing nothing at all.
Exactly. But Sarah decided to try something different. Instead of trying to write a whole chapter every day, she committed to just 100 words each morning.
Wow, that's so much more manageable. I love that she broke it down into smaller pieces.
It's a great strategy, right? And what's amazing is that those 100 words turned into 200, then 500. Eventually, she was writing for hours without even realizing it.
It's like a snowball effect. Those small wins add up, and suddenly you've made so much progress.
Exactly. And within a year, Sarah had finished her first draft, something she never thought she could do.
That's incredible. It just shows you the power of consistency and small steps. You don't need superpowers, you just need the right strategies.
And Sarah's story reminds us about celebrating those wins, even the small
We
ones,
talked about rewards before, but why is that so important?
because it reinforces the habit in your brain. When you celebrate your progress, it releases dopamine, and that makes you feel good and want to keep going.
So it's like giving yourself a little pat on the back.
Exactly. It makes you want to do it again.
Okay, so how can we celebrate those wins?
It doesn't have to be anything big. Maybe just take a moment to appreciate your accomplishment. Write about it in a journal or tell a friend.
Or do something nice for yourself, like a cup of tea or walk outside.
Exactly. It's about finding what makes you happy.
All right, now for some bonus tips to boost your habit building. One powerful technique is to visualize yourself doing the habit.
Visualization is so powerful. Athletes, performers, all kinds of successful people use it.
It's like creating a mental movie of yourself achieving the goal, right?
Exactly. And studies show that mental practice can be just as effective as physical practice. It helps create those connections in your brain.
So if you want to start exercising, you might visualize yourself getting up early, putting on your workout clothes, feeling strong and energized as you exercise.
You're planting those seeds of success in your mind
Another tip is to be flexible. Life throws curveballs, right?
all the time. Things won't always go perfectly. The important thing is to not let those unexpected bumps derail you completely.
So if you usually meditate in the morning, but your kid wakes up early needing you,
Mm.
you don't just give up on meditating for the day. Maybe you find a few minutes later on or before bed.
Exactly. It's about adapting to the situation and being kind to yourself.
And finally, remember that building habits is a journey, not a race.
It's about progress, not perfection. We're all constantly learning and growing.
There will be ups and downs, but the important thing is to keep going. Keep learning, keep growing, one step at a time. And remember, you don't have to do it alone. We Are Your Thinking Tank is here to support you every step of the way.
We're so glad to be on this journey with you as you discover the power of habits and create a life that truly reflects what's important to you.
Now, as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with something to think about. If you could create one habit that would positively impact all areas of your life, what would it be?
That's a great question.
What habit, if you did it consistently, would improve your health, your relationships, your work, everything? What small change could create a ripple effect of positive change in your life?
Spend some time thinking about that. And once you've found that habit, remember everything we've talked about today. Start small, be consistent, and celebrate every win along the way.
Thank you so much for joining us on this exploration of habits. We believe in your ability to make lasting changes, and we're here to support you every step of the way.
Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep diving deep.